There are multiple ways to keep in touch with the Wolf Connection podcast. Through our Instagram handle, The Wolf Connection Pod. And for comments and questions, send us an email to podcast@wolfconnection.org with your comments, questions, and guest ideas for Stephen and myself. You may hear your question answered on an upcoming podcast. Thank you for your support, and howls to you all. Welcome to the Wolf Connection podcast. I'm your host, John Calfa. Let's talk about some wolves. So again, at the International Wolf Symposium, traveling podcast with Wolf Connection, I first want to say before Kim and Marc, before we just have our little chat here, I truly can't thank both of you enough for, I'm getting emotional, just for being like a steward of me this whole time. Because you've really, really brought me into this world more succinctly. And introduced me, the organization, and given us a bigger voice and just introducing me to all these people. And I can't take enough. I don't want to be an emotional thing, but it's, Kim, we met at the airport and we've talked to you guys twice, but I can't thank you enough for just being these people to be, for me. And for us to be, involved in all this stuff.
Well, I love you. I do. You've been awesome. It's been fun. You're just a good guy, and you have a great place and outlet for what I think is obviously the most important thing to me, which is saving wildlife, saving wolves, saving our public lands. And there's a lot of people here that need to meet you. It's not the other way around. I think that's really important. And so we're happy to be able to do that.
No, it's great.
Yeah, I concur with that. And I would even go any further. You are a voice for the voiceless, for the wolves. We worked with you. We give you information. You give us the ability, which gives wolves the ability to be heard at a rational level with all your followers and supporters.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No, it's, and it's been reciprocated this whole weekend. I just want to get, and this is just such a flowy conversation, but, just from both of you, what are you guys, how do you feel about how the symposium's going? What are you taking out of it? I know there's so many differing things, and it's interesting because the more people I talk to, some feel it's good, some feel it's, it's a little shock to the system maybe. Kim, how do you think, well, I'll just rotate back and forth. Kim, how do you feel? What are you taking away from going on? Because I think this is your first, right?
Yeah. I haven't been out here, so it is my first. I'm conflicted actually. I think that for me, I don't think I was expecting kumbaya because I really like blatant, blunt information. I think it's important. I also think that the symposium has actually, it's been almost, and I don't want to call it a promotion, but it kind of feels like, hey, listen, hunting here, it's important, this is that, instead of actually looking at what I was hoping it would be, which is the proverbial mirror, because we as humans are the problem and we have to find a way to become the solution. And I'm not hearing that. I'm consistently hearing we may be the cause, even though we're not saying it, we may be the cause, but by golly, we got to kill wildlife. And I'm sick of hearing it. So until we get together and recognize the cause and solution are actually coming from the same vessel, which is us, the human vessel, I think we continue to play this game. Hunting is not the way to go about it. I realize it's going to happen. We get that. When it comes to incidentals, livestock, things like that. But until we educate and until we put that out there and say, we've proven that hunting wolves does not change anything, it makes it worse, until we actually recognize the words, right? We hear it, but nobody's actually doing anything with that. So I'm a little miffed about that, that we're not discussing that need. So that's my issue. Obviously getting together with everybody, listening to their studies, really getting an earful about what's happening around the world. I think that's fantastic. But yeah, what do you think, Marc? I mean, that's my gripe.
No, I think you're spot on. I'm bittersweet about this, and what I mean by that is, I'm happy here. The sweetness is getting here, walking into a room where everybody in the room, if they don't know you, at least they like you. Where in Montana, it's a little different. You walk into a room and probably 70% of the room doesn't like you because you're positioned for wolves. But what kind of surprised me is I was looking at this as a beacon of hope, pulling all these advocates together to share science, good science with them. And what it's turned to me is it's kind of made me bitter, and it's kind of made me start to think. I've never supported, and we will never support the killing of carnivores. But it seems like the killing of carnivores here is on the table at every move. And it's not just here, it's throughout the world from what I'm seeing. Poaching is alive and well, not only in Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, but in Poland and other countries. And these these wildlife agencies that are responsible for this, they don't give a crap. And that really bothers me. So what I'm telling you is it's systemic. And what needs to happen, and I really hope this happens, is the non-consumptive community steps up to the plate and says, you know what? There's 320 million people in the United States, 15 million hunt. We want control of our wildlife agencies back because they're not being managed properly.
Yeah, and I think in a way for me, coming to this place and seeing the different studies and seeing the different talks, in a way, I think Marc even said this to me when we were walking out of that Poland talk, and it's not just here; it's everywhere. And so there's a lot of shady things happening everywhere. Where it's we were at this talk about these studies in Poland about human carnivore coexistence, basically, and they would trap or snare wolves, bring them to the road, and make it look like an accident. So a lot of the things that we're seeing, like you say, there's systemic. It's global. It's not local. And I think, though, what gives me a little bit of hope of this is that there are enough people here, I think, in these rooms that understand the plight of what's happening. The panels that we've seen, especially the one that we came from, I think, just before lunch, which was Kira, Bridget, Stephen, and Doug. And that talk is going to be one of that'll probably be highlighted, I think, for years to come about how this is going to really impact these things. Mm-hmm. And I mean, who better really than those four to highlight, encompassing all of the national parks here in North America. Yeah. I think that for me, I'll take that road, but I totally see where you guys are coming from. And we've talked about this multiple times and how much it's going. I think
with the talk with Doug and Kira and Bridget, I think that some of the things that were highlighted, again, go back to what we're talking about. Right. Voyagers has a slide talking about, I think it was Voyagers, 43% of human-caused kills.
Right.
43% is poaching. 43% of wolves killed are poached. Right. That's from one park study, and right, about that.
And a smaller
and
park.
A smaller, right. Yeah. I mean, it's small. So these agencies are not taking this seriously. In the Poland talk, what a phenomenal talk that was, where snaring is highly illegal, yet it's how many of these wolves are being snared. Right. This is a major, you're right, Marc, it's a systemic problem that we are complacent in. I think we just kind of go, they're not doing their job. Poaching is alive and well. We're losing we're losing wolves, we're losing animals at a rapid pace to people who just think they can do what they want and kill what they want and shoot what they want. The word harvest is always fun to me, and I'm being facetious, because, and we were having a conversation at the table about this word, harvest. And, we don't say that. I mean, Kira said, and I think she said it very well, why they use the word harvest. Right. It's, to show how it has been legally killed or successfully killed. Well, we don't talk about harvesting humans when some guy goes in and, harvests a whole school. We don't say that. This is not okay. Wolves are not eaten. They are killed. So I do find that difficult, but I do know and understand in the scientific world that you keep everything kind of, the same. But we do have to change things. We have to get louder. We have to get and take back our government services, local, state, as well as federal, and say, stop working for the hunter opportunity and start working for healthy ecosystems. We bring ungulates back up to numbers, but we're not creating better habitat. And we bring them back to numbers for what reason? For hunter opportunity.
Right.
We are complacent in looking at government agencies not looking into poaching. What did this gal say from Poland? I apologize. I can't remember her name. But 2 times, I think, out of all these dead animals, they were charged, these people were charged. So anyway, it's maddening. It's maddening. Marc.
No, listen, this is what I took away. I always learn something from Doug Smith, okay? And what he said today really resonated with me. And what he said was preservation is no use. Conservation is the wise use. And what we're seeing in conservation communities, especially the hunting community which I don't understand, kills things, but yet they say they're conservationists. So they love something, but they kill it. So that's a fight for another day. But we're not using preservation properly. It's not being used wisely. And I think to be used wisely would lean more towards the non-consumptive, wildlife-enjoying community. And it would wrestle some of and don't get me wrong here, they have a firm grip. The hunting community has a firm grip on wildlife management. And I see the hunting community's grip on wildlife management. They say they're conservationist, but they're self-serving conservationist, where the average person who just loves wildlife is a conservationist. And you know what they get out of it? They get out a long-term being able to watch an animal, enjoy that animal, or just knowing that animal's there. Where the hunting community is about exploiting that animal, killing that animal, and putting it on their wall. So we're not using our conservation ethic properly, and that needs to change.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with you there, and it's funny because it's not funny. We were seeing those when we're talking about the caribou studies, right? And about how those caribou, and there were some discussions about, do we trade off one for another because of culture? And it's a lot of it, what we've all, and it's interesting because of the work that we try to do at Wolf Connection, and it's really that human-wolf connection. It's interesting how we all have this connection to something, whether it's culturally, socially, things like that. And other parts of the world literally have a different connection to whatever it may be, whether it's caribou, reindeer that we've heard. And do we save something by killing off something else? And it's really this push-pull of, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was one of you, but somebody said, we're always in the middle of trying to manage something instead of just letting it do its own thing. Because before we started managing things and extirpating things and having things go extinct, everything was basically getting along as well as it could.
Beautifully, right?
And then it goes, it goes extinct. How did we? I don't know if you guys were at that talk with the Pleistocene. All of these big critters were alive and then they died naturally. It's a very weird push-pull situation of how people think and how they try to, I guess, justify it. And I am not speaking out against anyone who is speaking here today, and I want to hear the point, and that's the point of what we do, is to try and find the middle ground and really try and bring as many people together as possible. I still think it's important to do that, but it gets a little muddied, I think, sometimes if that's accurate. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you and I talk, and I believe that we have to stop looking at our public lands for what I want. Right?
Right.
It can't just be about me. It's about everybody. And that's hard to do. I'm sitting here being grumpy about it, right? Because it's not what I want.
Marc, she's not grumpy right now.
Give me a minute. Give me a second. No, but I think the problem is that when we talk about conservation, like Marc said, and we talk about preservation, I mean, let's just look at Yellowstone. The science and the preservation, it's shot because of hunters outside of the park completely muddying that water. Yeah. So now what, right? It's muddied. It's not the same. Right. Anyway, but we do have to really sit down and have a big, deep conversation about what conservation means, because it sure is meaning a whole lot of different things right now.
And what's the aim of it, right?
Well, correct, right. I mean, what is the aim?
What's the aim of conservation?
Yeah. And I think we have to figure that out, because like anything else, I mean, a conversation I had years ago when 06 was killed, and I think I was on NPR something. Anyway, there was a bunch of us, and it happened to be someone from Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation was on there too. And I had made this comment, and which drives me crazy about those really big meetings is that they shut you off so you can't speak while somebody else is speaking. Yeah, and we both know that you don't do that to me. But anyway, so the lawyer for Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, I had said something about ethics in hunting. Mm-hmm. I said, it's gone. And he said, well, your ethics are different than mine. And I thought, oh my God, turn my mic back on, because I thought, wow, have we really gone to that place that there's an actual, that there isn't a baseline to ethics anymore.
Right.
So my ethics are different than Jeffrey Dahmer's too, right? I mean, let's be really sick about this, but that's the point. Where have we gone? And conservation used to mean something-ish. At least you knew where that was. Now it's whatever. So yeah, we got to get down and figure out what that word means and what it means to have healthy ecosystems. And if all we're doing is creating larger ungulate herds for the sake of hunter opportunity, or we're creating our ecosystem specifically for hunter opportunity, we got a really, 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 really big problem. And that's what I see is happening. It's hunter opportunity and land use.
Right.
So we've got to, it's.
I think land use was the one that really struck me. I mean, it was really, because when I went to, I think you were with me, Kim, in that one with I think it was Austin from Voyagers, where they did the fence around the, so it's
phenomenal.
Just great. I mean, it's a great talk, and it shows that there's ways to manage the land in a way. And listen, I've said this. Everybody who's listening has known that I am the farthest thing from a rancher. I don't know what it's like. I don't live that life. I never have. So I don't pretend to understand what it's like. But there are situations where it just seems as though it's not like there's not money out there to help these individuals. Right. And I'm not saying that they're not looking to get it. I'm just saying that maybe we can appropriate some money that we use for other things inside of federal government and things of that sort to help these types of projects out. Because really, I feel if you tackle these things at a personal level and a one-on-one level, then you can really start to that's where you grow the change from the inside. That's the only way that's going to happen, because now you grow the middle. And that's where most people, I mean, you guys have said it there. You've been in some places where it's hostile, but it's amazing. I mean, Marc, Kim was telling me stories about Marc goes in and talks to individuals that they're completely on the opposite side, but somehow you get closer than you actually thought. I don't know how you do it, Marc, to be honest. What's the secret, and what?
Because he's so sweet. He's such a good boy.
I mean,
don't listen to Kim. No, listen. Nothing is going to get solved if we dig in. So if they're not man enough to step across that line and put out their hand and start talking, nothing's going to get solved. It's only going to get worse. So somebody has to have the courage to buck up and step across that line and say, I want to hear you. I want to walk in your shoes. I want to understand where you're coming from. And in that, what happens is you build relationships with people, and people that really despised you at one time, you can pick up the phone and call and say, listen, what do you think about this? And I'll give you an example, is Jim Buell from the Montana Trappers Association. Jim and I are polar opposites. I despise trapping. but yet Jim had some litigation going forward with the Montana Trappers Association that nobody could get their hands on. I picked up the phone, I called Jim, I said, hey, Jim, how are you doing? This is Marc Cooke. And he's like, yeah, Marc, what can I do for you? I said, I could you send me a copy of the litigation that you guys have pending? And, 20 minutes later, there it is in my email box. So Jim and I, and this goes to others too, we have a respectful relationship. We agree to disagree, but you know what? We still communicate. And I think if we're not talking, we're not gonna move forward. And that's just it. Getting upset. I used to work for the Sheriff's Department in Missoula, and I had a colleague, and what he used to tell me is, don't get angry, get effective. And that's what I try to do. I try not, and don't get me wrong, I do have my moments. I think in the 10 or 15 years that I've been doing this, 2 years ago at a commissioner's hearing, I came unglued. But my unglued isn't like some people's unglued. What I said to the commission was, you people disgust me. And that's about as angry as I get. Did it ruffle feathers? Yeah, I'm sure it did. But it ruffled feathers in a sense that here's a guy who is normally even-keeled, and you have gone so far in the wrong direction that now he's upset.
Right.
I'd like to go back to a question that you asked earlier about the hunting. I've always tried to keep an open mind about hunting. We will never support the hunting of carnivores. But I understand families. I've been in, Montana for 25 years, and Idaho, and I think the American public and the world doesn't realize that there are communities in both Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming that rely on elk to eat.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get why elk are important to them. But what bothers me and what the direction I see the hunting community going is the ethics is in the toilet. It's going the wrong direction. I'll give you an example. They have these new electronic bikes out. The battery operated, You can go further into the backcountry. So there's a big argument now going, we want to get by gated communities, gated areas, so we can go back and kill more wildlife. My point is this. Now you have electronic bikes, you have ATVs, you have people flying over with drones, you have people flying over with aircraft spotting, you have radio communications that are being used. You have all these, and you have rifles that can reach out a mile and a half and kill these animals. Where is the ethics?
Right.
And it seems that hunting wildlife has gone from an ethical where, you used to walk a lot of land before you could get a shot at an animal and hopefully, kill it quick, get it out of there, to now it's, where's my elk? That sense of entitlement from 15 million people in the United States that hunt is becoming overwhelming. And I'll be honest with you, it's starting to anger me that the hunting community is trumping everybody else's wants, even to the point of the degradation of morals and ethics. And it's got to stop. And I think the American people need to wake up.
I hear you. I know we get deep into this conversation, and it's, I'm going to make a left turn a little bit and just go a little bit lighter, because I know we have to sort of cut off a little bit, because I know we're going to head to the next round of speed dating down there and get to all the sessions. But I want to ask you both, was there anyone or any buddies that you were looking forward to either reconnecting with, seeing again, looking forward to speaking? What was you guys have run the gamut since I've been here. But is there someone in particular, an old friend or someone new that you were like, hey, I'm making a beeline and I want to see this individual?
I'll go first because I can. I have the microphone.
You do.
Obviously, for me, it's my Yellowstone crew. Mm-hmm. Probably even more so than Doug, because I love Dougie. But Bob Landis. Bob is probably, And if you listen to everything that happened when they, Bob showed his film, I mean, obviously the White Wolves, all three, that lineage from the Haydens to the Canyons to the Wapitis, those are my wolves. And so that's where I get verklempt. I get a little upset there. But Bob has given not just us, right, wildlife enthusiasts and wolf advocates, he hasn't just given us these stories, he's given science to scientists, right? He's given these films, this mass amount of footage out there. Bob Landis is, to me, the greatest, most humblest, if that's a word, most humble of people I've ever met and known in my life. He is incredible. He's kind. He's giving. And all he cares about is wildlife.
Yeah.
And to make sure that if he can contribute, he just does. There's nothing else. There's nothing he wants other than to contribute to the betterment of our public lands and our wildlife. And so to be able to spend time with Bob, I want to spend as much time as I can with him when I see him. So when I see him, he is my beeline. And I will eat up every moment of every word of his quiet demeanor. And knowing that he's put out and getting ready to put out probably one of the most important films in my life. Yeah, Bob.
Yeah.
That's a great question. And I'm guessing there's probably 200 or 300 people at this event. And I probably know 10% of them. But it's really nice to walk into a room where everybody likes you. They don't know you. I mean, I'm used to walking into rooms with people that they know who I am, they know what we're trying to do, and they dislike me. And they dislike me for irrational reasons because they have this built-up anger and hatred towards these animals, these wolves and other carnivores. So we're running against the grain when we walk into a room in Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. You walk into the symposium, and most of the people there, I would say virtually all the people are there for good reasons, and they're not prejudging you. But I will say this, you hit the nail on the head. Bob Landis is the most humble, nice guy, always makes time for us, always trying to help us out. And you would never know by the way he treats us that he is as well known as he is for what he does. And I am very, very happy to be able to call Bob a friend.
Yeah. I want to wrap with this for both of you. And again, I'll say it the rest of the time, but I can't thank you guys enough. And again, we sat and Kim and I sat and I mostly listened where Bob was talking about his stuff last night, and that was a thrill on that end. What are you both looking to take from this and then implement as you head back and really hit the ground running? I know there's a lot. We'll be talking in the future again because there's a lot of things happening that are in a pipeline. Marc and I were talking before, and I know Kim, you and I were speaking about it. So what are the things you're taking with you that you know is going to either help and move forward in the things that you're doing?
Connections. I think that's probably the most important thing here. It's great to talk to people and listen to everybody, but connecting with others and getting to know people within the field that can really help to position us scientifically speaking, or help us investigate, research, whatever it is, or to position ourselves into different realms, like working a little bit more in Colorado. We've got legislation coming up, so finding people that can maybe help to break that apart in Montana. So for me, it's the everything that we've been able to gather with networking, with our people. That's kind of what this is. It's like a great place for that kind of a thing. What do you think?
Yep. When I came here, one of the people I did want to meet, just kind of goes back to Bob a little bit. One of the people I wanted to meet, I've been chasing for 8 years, and his name is Dave Osban. Dave was a young man, a student at the University of Montana, getting his doctorates. He mentored under Doug Smith, went to Idaho Fish and Game, to the dark side for a while, and now he's a professor in Idaho. But what I'm taking away from this is we're developing that relationship. You're so right, Kim. We are going to tighten things up with Dave and help him with some of the projects he has going that are meant for to help carnivores, or at least get true science out there that isn't biased or tainted by either the department or funding from Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation that assures a certain outcome that is usually not good for carnivores. But I think it was good to reconnect with a lot of people. And I think overall, John, of course, meeting you face to face, I'm glad because I can remember talking to you a while back going, are you going to this? And you were like, I don't know. And I was like, listen, you got to go.
You got to go, yeah.
So that was a big thing. But my takeaway from this is, and I'm kind of angry, and this is just about as angry as I get, is the hunting community's irrational ask that wildlife belongs to only them and they can do whatever they want with it. I also am kind of angry about, and this is systemic, goes around the world I'm seeing, and thanks to this conference, this symposium, is poaching. Poaching is not acceptable. And what I'm seeing in Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, they don't care. You kill an elk and there's, a $20,000 fine or a $15,000 fine. You kill a wolf, you get $50.
Right.
No, that's wrong. Poaching is systemic. It's got to stop. And the departments are going to be hearing from us about what are they doing about poaching and why aren't they solving cases? I mean, I think in the last 10 years in Montana, maybe 2 cases have been solved.
Right.
But when it comes to elk, oh man, there's lots solved. They're on it. It's BS. It's got to stop, and they're going to start hearing our voice.
Yeah. No, you guys, and like I said, you guys always have a voice with us. You always have an open invitation, and I've said this multiple times that you guys, we can be your sounding board. We can be your piece, and that's always what we are, is just to get more information out there. That's always what we want to do, and that's our goal.
I have one more thing, and I'm just going to say this straight up, not that it really matters. Today is, it's only October 15th, and we've already lost a park wolf to a hunt. Just got that information just now. Just thought I would go ahead and let you know. It might be 2, but that's unheard of. We still don't have snow on the ground, and yet they have created so many tools to pull these animals out of the park. And it's not even time yet. Meaning for them to migrate out, to follow elk herds, to follow. And so this is what we're talking about. This is the fight. They're taking preservation from inside a park, pulling them out and killing them. And this is not for meat. This is not so they can survive. This is pure hatred. And it's not just condoned. It is something that is, it's asked for by a governance in Montana. So I just thought I'd let you know.
No,
First
of park wolves are dead already in October.
That's bad news. I'd just like to end this on a positive note, John, from my point of view. What I'm seeing and what I'm hoping is at the last commissioner's hearing for wolves, where they were setting the regulations for how many wolves they could kill this year in Montana, there is no quota. Only at Yellowstone is there a quota, near Yellowstone. My hat is off to the men and women. 50 men and women showed up in support of Montana and Yellowstone wolves. And they gave the commission an earful. It was an unruly but very welcome sight to see men and women get up and start yelling at the commissioners, telling them to get their act together and what they're doing is unacceptable. So I am very thankful for all those people. We just need to get more people on that bus, and it's just a matter of time before we can turn this around where we have more input. We have a seat at the table.
Yeah. I think
Thanks,
it's going to
John.
happen. Thank you guys so much.
John.
Kim Bean, Marc Cooke, everybody, follow them Wolves of the Rockies. We'll have all the information. How's to all you out there, and that might be it for the symposium, but thank you all for listening. Bye, everybody. Looking to support Wolf Connection or sponsor one of the wolves in our pack? Just go to wolfconnection.org, click on the Donate tab, and find out more information.